We just moved in 425 Cornish rock cross meat chickens at Twin Oaks Family Farm in rural southeast Ohio, USA. These birds will be raised specifically for poultry production, for producing top quality poultry, top quality chicken. Stick around, join us for our video on having the barn turnkey ready for 425 birds and our tips on moving in Cornish rock cross meat chickens. Thanks for supporting our channel, y'all. Hey y'all, it's Melissa here at Twin Oaks Family Farm in rural southeast Ohio, USA. If you're interested in raising meat chickens, Cornish rock cross meat chickens, this is a good video for you. Glad that you're here. This video is getting the barn turnkey ready for 425 Cornish rock cross meat chickens. Before we show you the barn, it's ready to go for moving in birds. Actually, from when I'm recording this, I'm going to be picking them up in about 15 minutes and moving them in. So it is turnkey ready to go. But before we show you the barn, I want to tell you we're always wanting to spread the message, heart local ag. What we mean when we say heart local ag is please seek out farmers and ranchers in your area, wherever you live, and try to source some, most, a lot of your food directly from the producers who raise the animals and raise the crops and produce the food. You get wholesome, delicious food. You know where it came from, gives you confidence as a consumer in what you are consuming. And even better, if there's anything that you have the resources to grow, raise, or produce that can contribute to your household food supply, food sourcing, go for it. You can do it. You can do it. But for what you can't, please heart local ag. Support local farmers and ranchers and producers wherever local is for you, because agriculture does need consumers and consumers need agriculture. Together, it's better. So let's take a look at the building. Sometimes we call the Traverse a chicken wagon. Yesterday, it hauled home about a half a ton estimated of frozen poultry. Today, it hauled on farm 425 Cornish rock cross meat chickens that are being raised for poultry and will be on farm for 6 weeks and then go to processing at a professional poultry processor that's USDA inspected. This is part of our small commercial poultry operation here at our home place, Twin Oaks Family Farm in rural southeast Ohio, USA. So we have 400 chickens to unbox. I'm going to have to do that with both my hands, so I'm not necessarily going to be able to show you video footage of that, but I want to show you what we start with. So this is more or less an empty starter pen for our chicks. I actually have already put 25 of today's hatchlings in there. We get our chicks from a hatchery, Mount Healthy Hatchery in southeast Ohio, USA. They get shipped in boxes such as these through the United States Postal Service. These just got here and we're going to get them unboxed, counted, water imprinted on them, and turned loose in their pen. So I want to tell you before I work with the chicks and then get you some footage of all the chicks, what we start out with as far as our priorities for their pen. So for chicks, we want protection from predators. So we have a building that we raise them in that was built specifically for them. This also accomplishes protection from the unpredictable elements of the weather. We also need to prioritize adequate floor space. In one sense, the more floor space we can give them, the better. But on the other hand, we also can tip past the threshold where there's almost too much floor space for meat production birds. It's really better to give them just the right amount. If you look this up online and do online research, you're going to come up with a different number than I'm going to throw at you. In fact, quite frequently, you see a recommendation for less floor space than I'm going to recommend. But we've raised thousands of Cornish rock cross meat chickens. We recommend plan on 2 square foot per bird that you want to raise in your flock. When you plan on 2 square foot per bird, that stays sufficient floor space for them through the entire time of raising them, through start, grow, and finish. That also allows some room for your feeding and watering supplies, because they also take up space in your area for your birds. So we are starting 425 birds in this area that's part of their barn. The barn is sized to support 450 meat birds at finish. We're going to have 425 birds in here, and probably by about week 4, we're going to let them have the entire floor space of the building. So that's floor space. The other things we prioritize is ambient conditions. So that refers to temperature. Our barn is very much like outdoor temperatures, so we have to be prepared to provide targeted warmth a lot of the time, and then at some point to provide some more targeted airflow in addition to what we're providing with the cross ventilation we get from our door systems that we designed for this building. But chances are you're going to have to use heat lamps in order to provide comfort for your chicks, especially in the brooding phase. There is a lot of risk involved with them, a lot of serious risk. Please take that to heart. Please make sure they're fastened securely. Please make sure electrical infrastructure will support the amount of lamps you're using. Please make sure that you leave the metal guard in place underneath the bulb, and please make sure you check them frequently. Those are our best tips, best practices with using heat lamps. But you can see even there, we've got birds going there to rest. It's about 75 degrees Fahrenheit outdoors today, but these birds, week 1, they want to be about 95 degrees Fahrenheit. And especially when our temperatures dip into the cool temperatures at night, like even in the 50s, they're going to want targeted warmth. So we're potentially going to have to lower lamps for them. And even here, we've done a lot of pre-checks, but look, I can see I've got one bulb out. But for the size of birds and the quantity of birds at this age, we've got lots of other spots of targeted warmth for them, but that's something we'll be addressing right away. We don't want a faulty bulb, we don't want a faulty unit, so we'll be checking that bulb, potentially replacing it, and checking the unit as well. But probably it just needs a new bulb in it. Okay, so protection from predators, protection from elements, ambient temperature, trying to keep that ideal. Week 1, 95 degrees Fahrenheit for your meat chicks. We also want to provide fresh, clean water all the time, and we also want to provide good nutrition that's going to support their growth. Okay, let me show you something. You just saw those baby birds at hatchling day. This is the same kind of bird. These are actually 7 weeks old and slow growers. We will expect those chicks that are moving in today to look like this in about 5 weeks. You can plan on each bird consuming about an average of 10 pounds per bird for about a 6-week time. So that's easy to just figure out how much feed do you need. If you're raising 5 birds times 10, 50 pounds of feed. You're raising 10 birds times 10, 100 pounds of feed, and that'll take you through about 6 weeks, and that can accomplish start, grow, and finish on your birds if it's complete nutrition, and if it's high enough protein, we recommend 22%, and if ambient conditions are kept good for the birds from start to finish. We feed Kalmbach feeds, not sponsored to say that, not getting paid anything to share that with you, but we're proud to feed Kalmbach start to finish meat bird feeds to our birds. That's all we feed our meat birds, other than potentially changing to cracked corn, which is in these at the end of production. But we exclusively feed Kalmbach meat birds start to finish 22% to our meat birds. So we like to have all of this that we need for the entire flock's production on hand at the beginning of production. So for this flock, 425 birds, we actually will plan on about 4,250 pounds of feed. That is equivalent to 85 50-pound bags. That's equivalent to 2 pallets of feed if you buy it in bulk, 2 skids or 2 pallets of feed plus 5 more bags. Okay, so in addition to feed, so that kind of, we was talking about ambient conditions, then talked about feed, and in addition to feed, water, fresh, clean water all the time. And if you notice in this pen, we have waters down but not feeders down, and we do that intentionally. We start with them full access to water. In fact, when I take them out of the boxes, we're counting them one by one and getting a good number on how many's in the flock on day 1, and we dip each one's beak in the water one at a time so it imprints on them how to get the water. When they move in, water is already in the pen. We use 1 gallon waters to start with. We have extras. We already have them filled, ready to go, so we can just swap them out as we empty them. We fill them. We keep a supply sitting there ready to put in the pen. We'll let the birds be in the pen probably a couple hours. We want to let the stress from shipping dissipate before we put anything solid in their digestive system. So here in just a little bit, we'll put the feeder trays down. They're already filled, ready to go. Also want to show you this. These baby feeder trays, chick feeder trays, they have lids that fasten down like that. They just snap on here at the hinge part. We actually start without those lids. Let the chicks figure out this is where the feed is, this is how they're going to get it at first, and then after a few days they'll be ready for us to put these on. And they'll probably only be in these small waters and small feeders for probably about 10 days, and then we will actually change the feeders and waters to bigger capacity ones at that point. So the only other thing I didn't mention that we had done in here before the chicks moved in was the pine shavings bedding on the floor. And the reason we have them kind of confined in this pen made by utilizing these transport crates as barrier walls is just to keep them closer to this area where we're starting them. They don't need all of this room to start with. They will need it before long, but they're going to gravitate toward where lamps are anyway, and this is the only place we're going to set heat lamps up for now. Week 1, as I mentioned before, they want to be about 95 degrees Fahrenheit, and then each week we can count on the temperature that they want decreasing by about 5 degrees weekly, and once they get to about 70 degrees Fahrenheit, 65 degrees Fahrenheit, out at about week 5 and 6, then that's where they really would stay if they were going to be kept in production. But we take ours to processing at 6 weeks is the preference when they've had typical growth pattern. So then you're reaching that 70 degree Fahrenheit about that time. So those are basically what it takes. You can see it here. That's basically what we do to get it turnkey ready for baby chicks. Set up the barrier where we want it. Make sure that the overall space that they're going to end up in allows them at least 2 square foot per bird. We're protecting them from predators, protecting them from harsh sun, harsh wind, harsh rain. We've set up targeted warmth for providing them the warmth that they need. We have fans later on to augment the cross ventilation that's in the barn when they get a little older if we need those. We already had bedding down. We had water down. We've got scrap wood risers under the waters to help prevent the birds kicking a lot of pine shavings into there. We will put feeders down. We have the feeders ready to go, and we have all the feed on site that we need to get started and get them growing. And I think that's it. Now all we need is the chicks, right? So these chicks have calmed down a lot. I'm going to get these boxes unloaded. We're going to get all them in here, and we'll show you what 425 chicks looks like in one place. And if hopefully you've hung out with us this long if you're interested in starting the baby chicks. But at the end, I'll tell you how much the 425 chicks cost to get them on farm. Okay, so one of the tricks of the trade here is I'm going to get all these boxes and set them down in the pen before I start unloading any more of them, which really I should have done before I even unloaded these 25, because little chickies just seem to be drawn to where you're going to step or where you want to put something down. So you really got to watch not crushing them. So I'm going to put the boxes down and then unload the birds, and it's fun to watch them settle in. Okay, so we got our boxes in place. I'll just go down the line and be counting, unpacking them, dipping their beaks in the water, and turning them loose. Okay, first box is unloaded. So first box, after the 25 were already on the floor, first box had 101, and there was 1 dead on arrival in the first box. Let me keep at it here. Okay, so there was 102 in that box, no DOA in that box. Thank goodness reinforcements have arrived. Jared's going to help me get the last 2 boxes unloaded, watered, and counted, and so far so good. So So it's going to fill in the space a little bit. Okay, they're all unpacked. So Jared had 102 in the box he unpacked. I had 102 in that last box I unpacked. So 102, 102, 101, 102, I think. So 306, 407, and then 25. So 432, I think, is the count. And that's about what we'd expect. So we'll let them get settled here in just a bit. Feed will be set in for them. We'll set those trays down between the waters. Looks like we may add a couple waters as well, but they look like a thriving group of chickies. So here we go again. Here we go again. They're here for 6 weeks. They're in production specifically for poultry, and we will take them to a USDA inspected processor. We just got done taking a flock of about 250 to processing. We had about 30 of those made into whole chickens, the rest made into chicken breast with some other custom requests like ground chicken. And the total processing bill on that was $1,827.01. And I think I told y'all if you stuck around to the end, I'd tell you what it cost us to get these chicks here. So about 425 baby chicks, $1,020. Cornish rock cross meat chickens, straight run. So we just take them as hatched, male and female, $1,020 for them. So there you go. All right, Jared's adding a couple waters down there. We love our walk-in brooder. While he's finishing that, I'll tell you this last tip on best practice. We love our walk-in brooder with these scaled up groups of meat birds, but big caveat, if you're going to use a walk-in brooder, you have to be so cautious about working in the brooder with them the first week. It's like human feet are chicken magnets, our baby chicken magnets, because quite frequently, just like Jared just moved there and like two just stepped behind him right at his heel, you have no way to know they're there, and they're so quick they get under your foot, and they are no match for a human boot sole or tennis shoe tread. It will crush them. So if you do have a walk-in brooder and you want to work around your chicks, basically just skid your feet along, keep them on the floor of their pen, and watch for them, because it's easy to step on them without meaning to. Thanks, y'all. Take care, and remember what we told you in the beginning. Heart local ag. Support local agriculture wherever local is for you. Seek out farmers and ranchers in your area and try to source food directly from them.